Hi, John. Hey, Jaguars. Weekends with Max and his dad. We're in the third weekend called Habitat, and this is Chapter 3. The sneaky spy porcupine rescue plan did not seem as practical by day as it had when Max was falling asleep. But by the time he and Dad and Warren had arrived at Ace's coffee shop, Max was no longer thinking about porcupines anyway. Max was thinking about breakfast. "I'll have the county's best bacon and pineapple pancakes," said Max. He was so excited that Warren was here at his favorite restaurant that he spun on his stool. "Ditto," said Warren, who spun as well. "2 orders of the county's best coming up." Ace reached under the counter and pulled out his red ukulele. He plucked a string. Everyone in the coffee shop fell silent, and Ace sang. "Pancakes, oh pancakes, oh pancakes divine, better with bacon, much better with pineapple, best in the county, best we can make 'em, best with pineapple and bester with bacon." The room burst into applause, but Ace held up his hand for quiet. For a second order, a second verse. A second verse? Max had not known there was a second verse. This day was turning out great. "Pancakes, oh pancakes, oh pancakes galore, butter to slather, syrup that's pourable. Some folks like whipped cream, some prefer jelly. Isn't much difference when they're in your belly." What if there was a third verse? "Hey, Dad," cried Max, "order the pancakes. We need to see if there's a third verse." "Sorry, boys. I don't think I can handle the county's best today." Dad knocked over a toothpick dispenser as he reached for a napkin. "It feels like a coffee and dry toast day to me," he said, wiping his nose. Ace set the toothpick dispenser back on its feet. "You'll have to come back on a day when your dad doesn't have a cold." "Mr. Leroy doesn't get colds," said Warren. "Good to know," said Ace, but Max saw him raise his eyebrow, just like Mrs. Maloof had. After breakfast, Max and Warren ran all the way to Dad's apartment, though they had to double back for Dad several times. "Let's take a breather before we walk the dogs," said Dad when they finally reached 202. Max and Warren quick walked to the room with the blue walls to get Steve and Cuss. Warren's habitat project was on the dresser. As soon as Max saw it, he remembered. His great day feeling vanished. How was he going to make a porcupine habitat without any supplies? "Does your dad have any markers?" asked Warren. "For work, maybe?" A huge snore echoed in the living room. Dad was asleep again. "My dad is a systems analyst," said Max. "I don't think they use markers." "Well, too bad he's not an artist," said Warren. "Or a teacher. A teacher would have markers and paints and stuff." "A teacher? Didn't Mr. Pulaski say that Miss Tibbet used to be a teacher?" The day was saved. Max left Dad a note. "Visiting Miss Tibbet, 302. Max and Warren tiptoed out of the apartment. They shut the door behind them very quietly. "Are you being sneaky?" said a loud voice. It was Mr. Pulaski's plump niece, Estelle. She had yellow stuff all over her face and hands. It looked like she had been attacked by a mustard sandwich. "We're doing important homework," whispered Max. "Can I do it too?" Estelle asked just as loudly as before. "Sorry," said Max. "This is third grader stuff. Besides, shouldn't you be with your uncle?" "He said stand right here until he could get a washcloth." "You better do what he says then," said Max. He grabbed Warren's arm and they quick walked to the stairs as fast as they could. "I have a black marker I use to address packages," said Ms. Tibbet, "but I'm afraid I have no paints." She invited Max and Warren into 302. Its walls were not white, but bright purple, most of which was hidden behind tall bookshelves. "Sit," she said. Max and Warren sat. So did Barkus and Peggotty. "Tell me why you need paints," she said. Max and Warren explained everything, including how they thought she might have art supplies since she used to be a teacher. I was once a professor of English literature. Although I enjoyed it very much, it was sadly lacking in painting opportunities, said Miss Tibbet. However, I have read a few things that may help. Are you boys familiar with the term quest? Stevicus went on quests all the time. Oh, it's like a mission to find something, and there are battles and stuff along the way, said Max. Precisely. Although I hope today's journey will prove battle-free, said Miss Tibbet. I propose a quest. 2 young heroes. That means us, Max said to Warren. 2 companionable beasts, Miss Tibbet continued. That means the dogs. And 1 elderly sage. Max didn't want to call Miss Tibbet elderly, so he didn't say anything. But Warren understood. A smart lady, said Warren. Miss Tibbet smiled her wrinkle-making smile and handed Max a pencil and paper. Make a list of the quest items. I will call L. Leroy and inform him of our plans. The list looked like this. Forest floor stuff, box, paint, glue, trees, rocks. Max showed Warren the list. Well, I have super sticky glue in my bag, said Warren. Max crossed glue off the list. 1 quest item already in hand, said Miss Tibbet. That bodes well. Now, shall we commence? Yes, said Max. Let's go. And that is the end of chapter 3. So it looks like chapter 4 is their quest to find supplies.